Joining us now to discuss is Republican Congressman Bob Good, the U.S. Representative for Virginia's 5th Congressional District. He's one of only 21 members of Congress out of more than 400 in the House to bravely vote no on the $95 billion foreign aid deals. So, Congressman, thanks for being here tonight.
Great to be with you. And your riff was so good, I'm sorry to interrupt it with this interview. Way to go on your opening there.
No, I appreciate that greatly, and I congratulate you for standing strong on your no vote. So can you explain for our audience what motivated you to do so?
Well, it's very sad that we stayed 2 extra days in Washington. We were scheduled to go back to our districts Thursday evening, but we stayed until Saturday evening, not to fight for America, not to defend our country, not to secure our border, not to keep our promise to the American people, but as you noted, to borrow $95 billion that we don't have to defend and to fund other countries. We broke our promise to the American people that the Speaker had made that we would utilize the Ukraine supplemental, the Democrats' insatiable desire for money for Ukraine to secure our border. He refused to utilize the spending battles, the appropriation process to fight for border security, but he claimed we would use this process and then failed to do so. Furthermore, even the Israel vote, and I'm an unequivocal, enthusiastic supporter of one of our greatest allies on the world stage, but we ought to pay for that support because Israel isn't bankrupt the way we are. They don't have $35 trillion in national debt and a $2 trillion annual deficit, so we should pay for it. And we certainly should not have sweetened the deal to buy Democrat votes by putting $9 billion for Hamas into the Israel package. So that's why I and my other colleagues voted against that package as one of the components of the 4-bill package.
And you know, like you're saying, with the Hamas money basically snuck in there, I mean, that's the real rub, isn't it? House Speaker Mike Johnson, for so long, for so many months since he was voted in as chair or as speaker last year, you saw all the headlines. He's a Christo-fascist, right? That was all the headlines. The New York Times, the Washington Post, and the rest. They smeared this poor man up and down every day in the papers. But now all of a sudden he's getting the pats on the back from Pelosi we saw on the House floor by helping to ram through some of this money because, you know, as you were mentioning earlier, Joe Biden, he's having some trouble with the far left fringes of his own party, right? In states like Michigan and elsewhere, the Hamas wing, the squad, the rest of his own party. And it seems like Republicans just fell into the trap to help him with it. I know you mentioned earlier on your a post you had on X, you're talking about the absolute dysfunction that we can't even help Israel without also giving money to Hamas. What does that just say about the broader culture in D.C. right now that nothing can get done on its own without all these additional add-ins that constantly shoot us in the foot?
Well, it represents, again, the worst of Washington. You use Israel support to buy Ukraine votes. You use Ukraine support to buy Israeli votes. You use support for Hamas to vote for Israel as well. And so it just represents the worst in Washington. And you were mentioning about how they're praising the Speaker now. When you pass the Ukraine bill that Democrats vote for 210-0, and Republicans reject 112-101, no wonder the media and the left are going to praise Speaker Johnson for bringing a bill like that to the floor when he does the bidding of the Democrat Party.
You know, and it was strange. I was out for 2 weeks. I got married and I went on my honeymoon. But of course, keeping an eye on what was going on in politics. I know the House Speaker as well. He was, you know, all for FISA reform and everything else. And then he goes into the skiff and he comes out a changed man. And so people were wondering what the national security state's been whispering into his ears. So I don't know what's going on over there right now on Capitol Hill. I know to give him the benefit of the doubt, I know he's in a very difficult position, right? You know, it's not like we have some great majority in the House. It is very, very narrow. It is very, very slim, but we don't have to keep funding Democrat priorities constantly. Is that one of those major issues that plagues the Republican Party? Is we complain on the one hand about all these issues, but then on the other hand, not you obviously, but you know, plenty of Republicans are funding the very issues we complain about.
You're exactly right. Nobody has said that better than my friend Chip Roy, but you're correct. The Speaker for 7 years was on the Judiciary Committee where he voted for the warrant requirement until he becomes Speaker, and the intelligence community scares him by taking him in classified briefing. And he said, if we require a warrant, then people are going to die, but we don't surrender our liberty in the name of safety. Same with Ukraine. He was not for Ukraine funding. And then he said, well, at least we'll use it to leverage border security. Then he did neither. And it was clear at the end before this vote that he wanted Ukraine money just as bad as the Democrats did. And he didn't want to gum that up or slow that down or put that at risk by attaching border security to it.